So before we do example 9, I just want to draw your attention to your calculator. So your calculator is going to have a button that, depending on your calculator, it's either going to look like this or like this, okay? And that's the degrees, minutes, seconds button. Now, if you want to enter a number in degrees, minutes, and seconds instead of as a decimal, you need to use this button to tell your calculator that that's what you're doing. So on my calculator, I've got this degrees, minutes, seconds button here. I don't know if it's focusing on that very well. There we go. Degrees, minutes, seconds is there. So if I wanted to write 33 degrees, I do 33 and then I press the degrees button and a little degree appears. If I then wanted to say, okay, and 53 minutes, I write 53, press that same button again, and it still shows up as a degree, but the calculator reads that as minutes. And then 30 seconds, I do 30 and I press it again. And that represents 33 degrees, 53 minutes, and 30 seconds. And when you press equals, it doesn't show those little degree symbols anymore. It shows it properly. So if you need to enter degrees, minutes, and seconds into your calculator, you need to use that little degrees, minutes, seconds button. Okay, let's evaluate each expression correct to 2 decimal places. So our first expression is sine 46 degrees. So that's fairly straightforward. Again, on our calculator, we've got our sine button here. We've got a cos button, a cosine button, and a tangent button over here. So we want sine of the angle 46, so we just press sine, pretty straightforward. It appears like that with a bracket on your calculator, and then we just put in our angle, 46. And it's just in degrees, so you can just leave it at that. There's no minutes or seconds to worry about. 46 degrees is the same as 46 as a decimal degrees. So then we press equals, and that gives us our ratio. So that's sine 46 as a ratio, and the question asked us to evaluate the expression correct to 2 decimal places. So we need to do 0.7193398 blah 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 to 2 decimal places. So if I do it 0.7193 blah blah blah, I need it to 2 decimal places. This is the second decimal place. The number after that is clearly greater than 5, so we need to round up. So 0.72. The next one is tan of 57.4 degrees. Now this is written as a decimal, okay? It's not written in minutes. This 0.4 could have been written in minutes, but instead they've just put it as a decimal, or like a fraction of a degree, because it's all in degrees. So when we enter that, again, it's the same thing. We find our tan button this time because it wants the tan ratio. That's there. And then we just type in as a decimal 57.4, okay? It's just as a decimal. It's not written in degrees, minutes, and seconds. And then we just press equals, and we end up with 1.56 rounded to 2 decimal places. Next one is 4 cos 20 degrees. So this 4 at the front here, this is just like a function, this cos 20. You can just think of cos 20 as like an x, or as though it has brackets around it. So when you have a number that's right next to a function, it's like there's a little multiplication symbol in the middle there. So if you have 4 next to cos, it's just 4 times this function here. So on our calculator, again, pretty simple. We just write it as 4 times cosine 20. So we end up with 3.76 to 2 decimal places. And now this next one, again, same sort of thing. We've got a number out the front here and it's right next to sine. So it's like there's a little multiplication symbol there. We're just multiplying this by this function. But instead of having a whole number over here in the angle section, we've got 38 degrees, 25 minutes. So we do need to use our degrees, minutes, second buttons to enter this number into the calculator. So let's start here. 68.3 So 68.3 times sine, our sine function, and our angle is 38 degrees 25 minutes. So we write 38 degrees 25 minutes. And then we can put a bracket on the end again, just to make sure there's no issues. Press equals, and that's our answer. 42.44 to 2 decimal places. And our last one here, again, we're going to have to be using the degrees, minutes, seconds button because we've got an angle in degrees and minutes here. And this is just 23 divided by the cosine function. So on our calculator, you can do a divided by if you like over here, or you can use the fraction button to get that fraction bar and have it exactly like the question. And then we have cosine 18 degrees 50 minutes. And we'll just put a bracket on the end of that as well. Okay, so our answer is 24.30. That's our ratio. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. It's just about practicing using that degrees, minutes, and seconds button and making sure you know the difference between something that's written as a decimal, like this one, and something that's written in degrees, minutes, seconds, like this one. Okay, and the last example before we start with exercise 404 is this example here, which just shows you that your calculator can also be used to convert angles from decimals to degrees and minutes. So this example asks us to convert each angle size to degrees and minutes, correct to the nearest minute. So we've been given an angle in decimal form, or decimal notation, and we want to convert it to minutes, or degrees and minutes. So all we need to do is we need to type this number into our calculator. So 82.5, type that in, 82.5, we press equals, and then it comes up there, 82.5, and then we need to press the degrees, minutes, seconds button. And what happens? It converts it to degrees, minutes, seconds for us. And we can switch back and forth between decimal and degrees, minutes, seconds. So because it was 82.5, we know it's going to be 82 and then a half of a degree. Half of a degree is 30 minutes. So it's 82 degrees, 30 minutes, correct to the nearest minute. Okay, the next one, 60.81 degrees. So 60.81 equals, and now we need to convert it. So we use this degrees, minutes, seconds button. Okay, and now we've got 60 degrees, 48 minutes, and 36 seconds. But remember the question asked it to be given to the nearest minute. So the nearest minute is just going to be this 8 minutes there, 48 minutes. So we need to look at the next bit and ask ourselves, is it over the halfway mark? Is 36 seconds over a minute? I mean, half a minute? Is 36 over 30? Yes, it is. So it needs to be rounded up. So it's 60 degrees, 49 minutes.